All my exes live in Texas, and there is a struggling baseball team too. Let's talk about it, Will. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 47 of Bringing the Heat. My name's Cody Pyatt. With me, as always, the four-seam fastball co-host, Will Sessom. Buddy, what a week. How's it been?
It has been a week. Lots to talk about, but good week. Glad that we have made it to the weekend.
That's
but
it.
Hey, this is episode 47. We're getting close to the playoffs. Lots of things are happening. I'm ready to get into it.
Dude, it's going to be great. Great sports week. NFL's fixing to kick off. It's first Sunday of the year. But we're not here to talk about that, Will. We're here to talk about baseball. Like you said, playoffs. We are barreling towards the end of this baseball season. And I have mixed emotions. But like you said before we hit record, playoffs are going to be fun. Let's look at the standings, guys, and where do we stand. And we're going to dust off the panic meter with Will, which is one of my favorite things to do. So let's start in the AL East. You got the Baltimore Orioles, 89 and 51. They're 3.5 games up on your Tampa Bay Rays at 87 and 56. Toronto, 79 and 63. They're 11 games back of first place. And then you got the Red Sox and the Yankees moving on. We're skipping them. We're skipping them because guess what? They don't want to be talked about right now. Those aren't two teams wanting to play. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep it brief, guys. AL Central, the Minnesota Twins. They have opened this puppy up. 75 and 67, 7 games over the Guardians, 68 and 74. Then you have Detroit, Chi-Town, White Sox, and Kansas City, 31.5 games back. Whoops. Hey, the
Is
magic
that all?
number. Yeah, that's it, man. Magic number for the White Sox to be eliminated is 1.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there you go. Sorry, White Sox fans. You're still in it. Hang in there. You win out. You can do this. Yeah. AL West. Houston, baby, back on top, 80 and 62, a game up on Seattle. I think they'll be a game and a half up if they can hang on against San Diego tonight. Seattle, 79 and 63. Then you have Texas. What's going on there, Will? 76
The wheels are about to fall off if they haven't already.
That bus is turned into a boat because it has no more wheels.
Yep.
They're 3 games back. Those are the standings. Let's look at the wild card real quick, and then we're going to dive into this panic meter. Your Tampa Bay Rays, dude, 7.5 games into that wild card spot, and then we got a couple teams tied at 2 and 3. Seattle, Toronto, both have the same record at 79 and 63. Texas, 2 games back of a wild card spot. Now, last time we spoke, they were seated in that 3 spot.
Yeah.
And then your Red Sox, my Red Sox, 6.5 games back. So really, 4 teams, 3 spots. Let's dust out that panic meter. Toronto, 7 and 3 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Like I said, they're in the playoff picture if it ended today. How are you feeling about the Jays?
Oh, man. I think the Jays are getting saved by how bad the Rangers are, how their ship is sinking right now. I would say that the Jays are in good shape. If I had to, if we're doing scale 1 to 10 at this point, I'd say the Jays are around a 4. Mm-hmm. They do concern me just how they just haven't been able to really string together. Really a big streak like a bunch of people I think expected them to at some point, maybe the second half. You said that they're 7 and 3 in their last 10. I mean, that's a positive sign. But if memory serves me right, though, I think that they have played Kansas City and Oakland. I think might have been in there, so they're not beating up exactly on playoff teams. But nevertheless, with Texas struggling so bad, I would put them at about a 4. I don't love what I'm seeing out of them, but they're kind of the lesser of 2 evils right now when you compare them to whatever's going on in Texas.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of feel like they're the marathon runner that's just kind of been keeping pace. You know?
Like tortoise in the hare kind of thing.
Absolutely. Less turbulent, maybe they haven't overdone it in the way of like these guys are going to be overachievers. But look at where we are, man, and look at where they are. It's pretty excited. Here's a question for you. Moving on to Seattle, do you feel better or worse about them? 4-6 in their last 10 on a 2-game loser.
Yeah, now keep in mind they're kind of the opposite of the Jays though. They're playing the Rays right now, and obviously being a Rays fan, the Rays have played actually really good baseball these past few weeks. When I feel like a lot of people were starting to kind of write them off, and
Yeah.
like I've said, whenever people start doubting that franchise, there's just something about that franchise that seems to rise up in moments like this. So, but going back to Seattle, I'm not overly concerned about Seattle. I think if you're a Seattle Mariners fan, it would be awesome if they could somehow, topple Houston in that division to be able to get a little bit better seed in the playoffs. But I think with Texas playing so bad right now, I think Seattle's going to be in regardless. I don't expect them to go into just a crazy tailspin. So my panic meter for Seattle would be really low. I'd say maybe a 2 or a 3. I love what they've got going with their pitching staff. Mm-hmm. Julio Rodriguez is playing like a superstar again.
Oh, man.
The rest of the lineup isn't great, but Teoscar Hernandez is at least showing signs of being somewhat consistent, and they really need that guy to produce.
Yes, sir.
So to go with that rotation, that bullpen, and with Julio Rodriguez in that lineup, as long as nothing happens to Julio and those young arms, I really like how Seattle's playing going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I still think they have a shot at the division. Obviously, I got family they're all Astros fans.
Yeah.
So we got a close eye around here on those Mariners. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, Yandy hit the walk-off home run tonight. I was pretty pumped about it. So yeah.
And I tell you what, Seattle, assuming they get in,
mm-hmm.
remember last year when Houston was so dominant? The
mm-hmm.
one team, even though it didn't end up being a close series when you just purely look at, I think it was a sweep, but Seattle had Houston on the ropes in 2 of those games.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people would say that this year's version of Seattle is better than last year's.
Yep.
And the jury's still out on, is Houston as good as they were last year?
Might be a tick worse.
So I tell you what, Seattle's going to be a tough out in the playoffs. I just really like, especially how they've turned it on this past month, really like Seattle's chances going into the postseason.
Yeah. I mean to tell you, dude, looking at where we're set now with Baltimore, Houston, Minnesota, and then the 3 wildcard teams, I mean, other than Minnesota, you have some really stacked, complete teams there.
Yes.
And hate to, hate on the Twins and whatnot, but hey, let's move on real quick, Will. The Rangers. What is going on? What's the panic meter? 1 to 10?
Man, the panic meter in Texas is seriously off the charts right now. I mean, if you would have told me even a month ago that the Rangers would just go in a total tailspin like this, I would have been shocked.
Yeah.
I thought they just had too many good pieces. They were playing so well. When you look at their roster, you don't see a lot of holes on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I don't understand it. Yeah. I mean, the lineup has been super hot or cold, mostly cold this past month. But, man, the rotation... The rotation has been so bad. They can't eat up any innings. The
bullpen's also been abysmal.
The bullpen's been awful, but it's almost like the bullpen's just worn out.
Yeah.
Like they just have it's like they've hit their limits. And man, it is big trouble time in Texas. I just, like I said, I would have never expected this.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I don't think they're getting in now. And I have been on the Rangers all year long, and man, it is bad. I mean, it is real bad, because the problem is, like I said, when you get your bullpen to where they've kind of reached that red line, so to speak, and they just look completely gassed, there's really not you're not really getting them back at that point. Once you've kind of overworked them or they've lost confidence or whatever the case may be. Yeah, panic meter's up 13.
Yeah. Hey, little schedule watch here. Like you said, obviously last series got smoked by Houston. And then now they're in Oakland. They lost last night. They're up 2-0 now. Then they go Toronto, Cleveland, Boston, and then listen to this, Will. 7 of their last 10 games against the Seattle Mariners. So, if they can keep it close, it'll be in front of them, and it's going to be really entertaining baseball. But if they play the brand of baseball they're playing now, it could be wrapped up by that final series. And I don't think either one wants us. We don't want to see that. So
that Toronto series upcoming is massive.
Yes, sir.
I mean, massive.
You got to be in playoff mode if you're the Rangers.
Yes.
You've got to turn it around.
They have got to almost win that series. Is it a 4-game series? Is that what you said?
1 second. We're rolling back to the other tab. It is a 4-game set in Toronto. So
you got to at least split that. At bare minimum, you have to split that series if you're Texas. If you either get swept or only win 1 game, it's dire straits.
Yep. You got to go good today, tomorrow against Oakland, and then I'm with you. Split at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Or, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Because you don't want to get into a place where Seattle's got to win like 1 out of 4 games. I mean, but that's kind of what it's looking like currently. Hey, last panic meter. Just humor me. Are we even worried about the Red Sox, or are they DEAD?
You know what? I mean, I'm not going to say they're dead. My question would be this. How many games do they have left against Toronto?
Okay, a little schedule watch, Will. We're going to just pull this up, guys, in
because
live time.
Here's the thing. While you're pulling that up, if you're a Boston fan, which I know you are.
Right here.
Obviously, the Titanic is sinking in Arlington right now, right? So if you're Boston, if you can string together a couple of series wins, then you're going to continue to make up ground on Texas by the way it looks. So, with my question that I posed to you, if they have a series or 2 left with interdivision rival Toronto, if you can win however many games out of however many they have left, then that would be huge because you're directly making up games when you play one another.
Correct. My panic meter is like a 12. Here we go, Will. We're in Baltimore right now. Or excuse me, we're in Boston playing Baltimore, and we're going to lose because it's like 13-9. Going to the bottom of the 9th. Then we go Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays, Texas Rangers, Chicago White Sox. Those are 3 winnable games. You end the year with 2 versus Tampa, and then we go to Baltimore for 4. So here's what you hope. Those 4 games don't matter for the Orioles. But
right.
I mean, it's likely the way Tampa Bay is playing, they're still gonna matter. So it's not done.
So they've only got 3 games left against Toronto.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they would have to. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they would need to probably sweep that series against Toronto.
Yep. Got to do damage against the Yankees coming up. Toronto, Texas, Chicago. Got to do good.
You got to win the series against teams like the Yankees, because obviously the Yankees are done this year. Yeah. Obviously the White Sox are done. You've got to take those series, and then you do. I mean, I think unless Toronto just goes on an epic slide like we're seeing in Texas, which I'm not going to say is impossible, but unless they do that, I think you would have to sweep the Blue Jays when they play them, and then you would have to pretty much try to sweep the Yankees or White Sox, and then at least you go into those last couple of series you said against Tampa and Baltimore, which is not going to be easy whatsoever. But you at least in that scenario, you at least have a chance.
Yep, puncher's chance. That's all we can hope for the way the year's shaking out. Let's move on to the National League, Will. We got, let's just start with the best and brightest in Atlanta Braves in the East, 92-48. Wow, a plus 239 run differential. What are we even talking about? Philly is 15 games back at 77-63. You got the Miami Marlins, 73-68. And then you got the Mets and Washington. Mets have regained that fourth place spot, so they're playing a little bit better ball. They're both eliminated though. That's one of my favorite things that MLB put on here is the magic number for elimination. Yeah. Shout out to the Royals and Oakland, who I think hit that number first this year. So pretty exciting.
Congrats.
Woohoo! The Central, Milwaukee 4 games up on the Chicago Cubs. They're pesky though; they won't go away. They have lost 3 in a row though. Yikes! The Reds 7 games back at 73 and 70, and then you have Pittsburgh and St. Louis. And then in the West, you got the Dodgers at 86 and 54, 12.5 games back of Arizona, 75 and 68. Then you have the San Francisco Giants at 71 and 70, a game above 500. And San Diego and Colorado, 2-game magic number for San Diego for elimination. So something to look out for there, Will. Let's hit the wild card real quick, buddy. You got the Phillies, 3.5 games up in that first wild card spot. You have the Cubs. They're a game up in the second spot. And then Arizona. A game behind Arizona, you have Miami, and then you have the Reds and the Giants, all a game apart. So, dude, this is looking pretty gnarly. Last team to maybe keep an eye on is the Padres. But, man, they are 67 and 75. I take that back. Last team to keep an eye on is the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
Let's hit the panic meter with Miami. Like I said, they're a game out of the third spot. How you feeling with them, dude? 7-3 in their last 10, playing good ball.
Yeah, man, I just feel like if Miami could just get in, they would have a puncher's shot. I don't know. The issue to me when I watch Miami is that lineup still is so inconsistent. I mean, they get the pitching more often than not, man. That pitching keeps them in just about any game. I was watching this past week, they're playing the Dodgers, and I mean, this is a very competitive series for the most part. And we know how good the Dodgers are, but I mean, I would say on the panic meter though with Miami, I would give them a 6.5. I love the pitching, but man, the lineup. Some nights the lineup looks really good. Josh Bell has produced pretty well since he's been there. We know about Luis Ariz. The problem is a guy like Soler is hurt right now, and he was their big power guy this year, so that hurts. They need Jazz Chisholm to just go on an absolute tear. Somebody like him to just go crazy for the next couple of weeks to steal some games that maybe they shouldn't win. So, I would really love to see Miami get in. I think it would be a fun matchup with whoever they might get paired with.
Yeah. Hey, here's the question because I didn't hear you say it, and we were going to talk about it later. I have 3 big names that went down this week, and one of them is the ace of the Marlins. Sandy went down 15-day IL with the flexor strain in the right forearm. So it's retroactive to September 14th, so he'll be back in a week or so. Does that change your answer at all?
I mean, obviously it doesn't help.
Right.
But, pitching is not really my concern with Miami. I mean, even when you lose a guy like Sandy, I mean, they've still got Luzardo, Yuri Perez, Braxton. Garrett's been pretty good. I mean, yes, it stinks to lose a guy like Alcantara for sure. He's your veteran. He's the guy who's been there year after year for them. But the problem is the lineup is going to determine, in my opinion, the lineup is going to be the one that determines are the Marlins going to get in over these next couple of weeks, or are the Marlins going to stay out over the next couple of weeks? I think the lineup is going to have the answer to that question one way or the other.
Yeah. With Soler going down, it's going to be a lot on those trade deadline acquisition guys in Josh Bell and my main man, Jake Berger.
Yeah.
Bergernator. Let's see what they got, man. Let's see what they got. They are close, Arizona.
They're right there.
Correct. So, dude, it is anybody's game for these next few teams. The Cincinnati Reds, man, this is like the trade deadline, the before the trade deadline darling. These Reds, they brought all these young kids up. Some of them are still playing well. Our guy, Matt McClain, is hurt.
Yeah, it hurts.
So that's been a blow big time. I know we both had them on several fantasy teams, so that's been tough. 73 and 70, 2 games out of a wild card spot. Are we nervous?
Yeah, if you're a Reds fan, you should be. If you're really expecting this team and wanting this team to be in the playoffs, which if you're a fan, obviously you do, but I just don't see it. I really don't. I just as much as I would love to see this young, exciting bunch get in, they just don't have the pitching, man. I
agree.
I'm really disappointed that they didn't really do anything in the deadline to address that, because they were right there and it felt like they had so much momentum. And I just don't think they've got enough. I really don't. So if I'm a fan and I'm going on the panic meter, I mean, I'm at a 9 or a 10. I just don't see it with this version of this team. They have to. If you're the front office of the Reds, please get them some pitching.
Yeah.
Like, let's not just throw all our eggs in one basket for Hunter Green and Lodolo. Let's get a veteran or two to mix in with that staff to at least eat up some innings, because that's really what this team needs.
Yep. I'm with you, dude. I agree. I have a lot of hope for them, to be honest with you. I'd say 8 or 9, just because, I mean, and I know they're right there as well. And so is the next team, but I feel the same way about both these teams. They just don't have the pieces to compete. I just feel like there is a really big difference between a team like the Cubs and a team like the Reds right now. So obviously in a 3-game set, anything can happen, but still, I mean, I would take Steele and Stroman and Javier Assad over anybody. Hunter Green, man, has come back and he's not pitched well. He has not pitched well. So we'll see. Last one, San Francisco Giants, 71 and 70. They are 3 and 7 in their last 10. It's been struggles, man. They got swept by the Cubs this week. How are we feeling about them? 3 games out.
Yeah, I'm high on the panic meter with the Giants too. I would say it's an 8 or a 9 for me. I mean, they're kind of honestly the opposite of the Reds. Like, I feel pretty good about their pitching, but I do not feel good whatsoever about that lineup. It just feels like you can't get any consistent production, or they just need somebody in that lineup to just get like white hot. And I just don't know who that might be. And if they could get 1 or 2 guys super hot, it might be enough, honestly, because their pitching's okay. But I don't feel great about this team either. I think if it were me talking about the NL playoff or wild card, the Phillies in my book are in.
Yeah.
I think the Cubs and the Diamondbacks are the second best wild card team in some order.
Yeah.
And I think the only other team with, in my opinion, the best chance of unseating either the Cubs or the Diamondbacks for that spot would be the Marlins. Just because mainly of their pitching. And they do have some capable bats like Josh Bell, Jazz Chisholm, Luis Ariz. So, I don't know. I'm ready to almost rule out the Reds and the Giants at this point. But they're still right there according to the standings. And all it takes is for them to get hot for like a week or 2 and they'll be in.
Yeah. No, correct, dude. This is going to be a lot of fun down the stretch, because it is legitimately going to be who can play the best baseball over the next 20 days.
Yep.
And essentially that's going to be who gets in.
It's and there honestly, for the taking.
Correct. And let's see whatever team does that, make a run in the playoffs. A Phillies-esque run.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, if you sit in left field at Target Stadium, Minnesota Twins, you probably were a little panicked. Speaking of the panic meter, let's hit that heat check, Will. And tell me about your guy. This guy is like the Kyle Schwarber of grand slams, because if he's hitting a ball, it's leaving the yard and there's ducks on the ponds. Who's your heat check player of the week, bud?
Man, I know you like this guy too, Cody, because I know that you were very quick to pick this guy up when he was coming back from injury, and it was a heck of a move, I will say, because I know he's got the pedigree, but I did not see this coming. My guy's Royce Lewis. This guy has batted essentially 500 this week.
Mm-hmm.
He's hit 2 home runs for the week. And going into today, I'm not sure exactly what he did today, but he's got 12 RBIs this week. 12 RBIs. That's in less than 7 days, which is pretty crazy when you think about that number. So,
he had
this
a
guy,
stretch.
correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he the number 1 overall pick a few years back?
He was, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, it's like I've said before with guys like that, when a guy's picked number 1 overall, that there's a rare ability that this guy possesses compared to just about any other player, right? Because when you're a number 1 overall guy, there's something different about you.
Yeah.
And, man, this guy, I know he's had a hard time with injuries this past year or two, but he's back. He looks healthy to me. And, man, I tell you what, the Twins, if there's ever a team that needs a guy to produce in the lineup,
yes, sir,
it's the Twins.
Yeah.
And, man, what a great story. And what a player this guy seems to be turning into.
Yeah. Oh, he's a young gun, man. 3 grand slams in eight games.
Yeah.
So he's the real deal. And a lot of people, dude, you read some Twins Twitter, and a lot of people thought this was going to be the shortstop, when Correa left. So he'll slide over to third base and man the hot corner. But he's got the glove too, and he's the real deal. It's just, can he stay healthy? Can he stay? He also plays great outfield. So, dude's just a talented kid.
Can they just keep him away from Byron Buxton?
We
don't want him to turn into Byron Buxton.
He's a little. I said it last year. He's Byron Buxton. He's just like him. He can't stay healthy. I don't know why you did this, Will, but you have another name here, and I think I take offense, but I want to hear it. Tell me about this. This is your guy.
I had to squeeze him in there as my honorable mention this week. He is the Tampa Bay Ray, so a little bit of a homer here, but shout out to Tyler Glasnow. I will admit he is one of my favorite players in the entire league, but I was watching Tampa play Boston earlier this week, and if you watch Tyler Glasnow pitch, most nights he's really good. But there's about 3 or 4 starts every year to where he's literally unhittable just about. This was one of those starts.
Yep.
Like every pitch was working. He was locating. Velocity was great. And ended up, long story short, 6 innings pitched, 14 strikeouts, leading the Rays to victory that particular night.
Against my Red Sox. Rude. Rude. I couldn't believe you put that there. I'm like, we're buddies. He's not going to bring it up. He texted me during the game. Like, I wasn't watching. Like, boy, Glasnow looks good. It's like, does he or does the offense look bad? 17 strikeouts for the Red Sox in that game. So
Glasnow was on.
Dude, he's the man. He's the man. Super cool guy, too. Super cool guy.
Yes.
That's good for the Rays. Locked him down for $25 million for the next few years, so that's cool. Okay, I went 2-2 because it looked like fun, and I was like, I'm going to do it. So my first guy, Zach Gallen, I watched this game, and it was just a lot of fun to watch, and it just showed his masterful ability to understand the strike zone that was presented. That, for right now, we do not have electronic strike zones. We have human umpires. And the umpire that night, and I'm blanking on his name, the bottom of the zone, he was getting every call down there, and so he just peppered the bottom of that zone. He had it was a complete game shutout against the Cubs, 1-0. Gave up 3 hits, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk. A lot of times you see these complete game shutouts, and it's like 7-0, 6-0. Not super high pressure. You're just cruising. This game was 0-0 going into like the 8th inning. So they needed it, and he looked really good. So shout out to Gallen. He's the man. Next guy, who is the
Question real quick.
Hit me with it, baby.
Just right off the top of your head. Going into 2024, is Zach Gallen a top 5 starting pitcher in fantasy?
Okay. Well, I got
top 5.
Got to do a little math in my head here because I'm going through names. I'm coming. You got McClanahan's not going to be there because he's going to be hurt. You
DeGrom.
You got DeGrom. He's outie too.
Yeah.
You'll have like you got your Coles, you got your Sandys, you got your the Mets duo that never was.
Yeah.
I like him because he's proven he can stay healthy. I would put him in there. I would personally draft him top 5.
I think he's right there. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely top 10.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah,
I think he's right on the cusp, top 5, and I think you can make an absolute legit argument for it.
Yeah, it's a great question, dude. No, he'll have a couple games where he got ripped
by
the Tigers this year. And I think it was a Sunday morning game, so maybe that's why it was too early.
I'm just thinking of a couple of names off head. You said Garrett Cole. I think of a guy maybe like Luis Castillo. He's been pretty consistent all year. Strikeouts are there. Burns has been good the second half.
Woodruff too's looked good, but
Woodruff is good. You just don't ever know quite about the health with the shoulder, but he's been good. Framber Valdez, you can make an argument for Houston, but he's kind of been up and down. But Gallon's Justin Steele. I tell you what, Justin Steele is a guy.
Dude.
Do you believe in Justin Steele? Is this what we're going to see moving forward?
Yeah.
But he has been awesome. So, I think Gallon's right there in top 5.
Yeah. Steele might be Gallon too. Might be 2 of the 3 NL Cy Young.
Yep.
They are. It's going to be
Strider. We forgot to mention.
Dude, I think Strider he got creamed by some St. Louis. St. Louis played like 2022, and I think that might have taken him out of the race.
But fantasy-wise, he's still gold.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's got I think he has 1,700 strikeouts this year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, last guy on our heat check. I can't not talk about him. Jose Altuve, 5 home runs over 2 days. I think at one point he had 4 out of 5 at bats. He had home runs, so that's absolutely nuts. It was on Monday and Tuesday against the Rangers. Just a huge series, and what that was an awesome series. I don't know how much you watched the finale. It was a little bit of a blowout, but it was a lot of fun going into it because it was Justin Verlander versus Max Scherzer.
Yeah,
and dude, it's pretty wild to think where we started the year and how they were both like Mets,
right?
And it was just like, what is happening? Sometimes I'm like, is this simulation? What's going on here, Will?
I tell you what, those Scherzer's looked rough the last couple of starts.
Dude,
I wonder if that forearm's really barking, and he's just such a competitor that he doesn't want to, come out of the, or miss starts. But something seems like it's a miss.
He missed on some spots for sure with the breaking stuff, but his first home run he gave up was to Yordan Alvarez, and it looked like a solid pitch, but he just got his hands in and sent it to left field, and I hit my light in my room, guys, if you're on YouTube, and it was like, this dude Yordan Alvarez, we haven't talked about him enough this year because he gets hurt, but man, he's a big boy, and it was awesome. It really was. All right, here's things that aren't awesome, Will. Let's hit what's on the grill with Will. Julio Urias gets arrested on felony domestic violence charges on Sunday. It happened outside the BMO Stadium in downtown Los Angeles. That is where the Messi's new soccer team, I think it's called Inter Miami. Not a huge soccer fan. Yep. I have heard of Messi. I work with a lot of guys who are big soccer fans, so we talk about it. I know he's like a legend. And apparently Urias was like invited as one of his guests. And I'm not 100% sure what happened. We're going to try and stay away from the logistics and the legal side just because all the facts haven't come out yet. But here's what we do know. He has some history. In 2019, he was suspended for 20 games for violating Major League Baseball's domestic violence policy. And those charges were dropped. He has been placed on administrative leave. And he will not pitch again for the Dodgers. I don't know that that's come out, but I can just go ahead and tell you guys it ain't going to happen. And he's going to be a free agency. You want to talk about a miss. This dude was going to be a free agent in 2024, set to make upwards of $100 million, and this happens. It's sad. Dude, I feel like it's been back-to-back weeks or 2 out of 3 we've talked about this stuff, and it's tough. So obviously our thoughts go out to whoever's affected in this. I assume his wife. But sticking to baseball, how does this affect the Dodgers' playoff chances?
Yeah, it's Yeah, it's obviously a blow. He wasn't having a great season by his standards because he had emerged. I mean, borderline top 10, top 15 pitcher going into this year. You could make an argument for, and yeah, I mean, it's certainly a blow to the Dodgers. I mean, they also announced this week that Walker Buehler was, not going to pitch this year, even though he was trying to make it back off of Tommy John. But they've decided to just kind of push towards 2024 with him. But as far as Urias goes, I mean, that's a big loss because you just think about kind of guys who have been there over the last few years for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kershaw's going to be there, and he's been there. But all they've got left is a bunch of young guys and Lance Lynn behind Clayton Kershaw right now, So from an experience standpoint, especially if they were to get matched up against a team like Atlanta, I think that's where it's really going to show up. In a big series like that against Atlanta or maybe Philadelphia. So it's tough, but more importantly, like what you mentioned, the thoughts goes out to people who were impacted here.
Yeah,
we're not going to speculate anything, but it sounds like a not
awful.
a good situation.
Correct. Yeah, it's just sad, man. It's sad. I mean, we all make mistakes, and I don't know. People can land where they want to on this stuff, but this is a second chance. You hear people say, "I believe in second chances." You put your hands on a woman, that's pretty much zero tolerance for me. It's we'll see what comes of it, and he's 27, young guy, but it's a mess, guys. It's a mess. All right. Let's stick on the bad news train a little bit. We had some big names go down this week, and I want to know from you, Will, which team you think is going to be affected the most. Okay, so let's hit them. I got 3 names, and maybe a sneeze coming. It could be the first ever on the podcast sneeze. We're just doing this live. Here we go. Okay, big names go down. Adolis Garcia placed on the 10-day IL with a right patellar tendon strain in his knee. I don't know if you saw this play. He went up trying to make a catch on a ball that I believe Michael Brantley hit out, and then came down weird, I believe, on his right knee. He might be done for the year. He was punching the ground like he knew something was amiss. That one's no good. Mookie Betts is day-to-day. He fouled a ball off his foot on Thursday. The x-rays were negative, but he did leave the game in a boot and on crutches. They're going to do a CT scan and MRI. He's going to be out tonight, which is Saturday, probably out tomorrow, and Monday's up in the air per Dave Roberts of the Dodgers, obviously their manager. And then we talked about it, Sandy, with the right forearm strain. That's obviously a big blow for the Marlins. Which team is hurting the worst because of these injuries, bud?
Obviously, none of them are good.
Right. Big names.
That's an obvious statement, but I would say number one is Adolis Garcia. I'll put it this way: Mookie Betts is the best player of those 3, but I think Adolis Garcia, considering how bad the Rangers have been playing and what he means to that lineup. As far as trying to score runs and him driving in runs, his power, even his defense in right field, I think that's a huge blow for Texas because, I mean, you've got, at the top of that lineup, you've got Semien, you've got Seager, you've got Lowe. They've all been pretty solid for the most part this year. And then you've got Garcia driving them in, right? And so when that piece is missing, it just makes it tough. And they've already got Josh Young out as well. He's out for a couple more weeks at least with a thumb. So I think that's a big, big, big blow. I think if Mookie Betts, if it's not long term, I don't think, obviously the Dodgers have a huge lead in the West. So as long as this doesn't bleed into the postseason, the Dodgers are totally fine.
Correct.
But if it's significant and somehow, some way does
Yeah.
bleed into, that's huge. Then I would vault that up to number one.
Sure.
And then, like I said earlier with the Marlins, I just think Sandy, I think it's a tough blow, but the lineup for Miami is going to determine one way or the other over these next few weeks for them.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude, for sure. Yeah, couldn't say it better myself. I'm thinking on Sandy. I'm trying to figure out if he pitches again or doesn't pitch again. I honestly think if he doesn't pitch again, they're probably not getting in. I mean, I agree with everything you said, but just like we talked about with several guys this year, when an arm like that goes down or a player like that goes down, and everybody has to slot up one, all of a sudden depth. I mean, depth is so important in a 162 game season, and it's wild. This guy's had a pretty turbulent year, but really tightened it up in the second half, and so for him to go down, I really hope he comes back and can help them because it's going to be a fun race.
Whenever you're dealing with a strain, though, in that pitching arm,
it's a bear.
It is usually not a minimum stay on the IL. That's usually what happens. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Yep. I have no idea how significant this injury is, but whenever I see some sort of a flexor strain, forearm strain, elbow tightness in a pitching arm for a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, it is usually not great.
Yep. If he
and
doesn't
I'll
pitch
leave it at that.
Yeah. He doesn't pitch again. Do you think he falls out of the top 5 pitchers drafted next year?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I would have already had him out of the top 5 just based upon like the strikeouts and stuff not quite being there compared to some other guys.
Yeah.
And when you double that on top of a little bit of an inflated ERA and a WHIP for this year, I would definitely have him out of the top 5 regardless of injury.
Yeah, heard it here first. Will's not drafting Sandy. No way, Jose.
I will not, probably. Other guys are going to like him more than I will.
That's true. Yep, I was just about to say. Hey, Young Guns on the rise. Let's turn it up a little bit, Will. We got some good stuff on the grill. It's not all tofu.
That's right.
Stuff like that. We got some burgers. We got some chicken tendies.
That's right.
I'm sorry to my lovely wife who loves tofu, and we eat it a lot. It's not bad. It's all how you season it, guys. Just like life. It's all how you season it. Okay, let's hit the Young Guns on the rise, man. We got 4 names here that, dude, it's just like the youth in baseball really gets me excited for the future. Jason Dominguez, we've heard about this guy forever. The Yankees call him the Martian. Fans have been clamoring for this guy, and he's come up. This has been his first week in the majors, and he's crushing the ball. A 296 average, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 6 runs, 1 steal. He's just electric out there. I saw something on Twitter today that said he has more total bases than Aaron Hicks did in the first half for the Yankees.
Holy
I know. Isn't that crazy? That's what I thought. And then we got a guy like Jordan Lawler, who came up 6th overall pick in the D-backs system in 2021. Dude was crushing it in the minors. The 358 average, 438 on base, 612 slug. I mean, that's nuts. They're looking for this guy to spark a playoff run in Arizona. He's gotten a hit. Not much other than that. I think he got a hit and a stolen base today, so a little bit of impact, but also kind of a glove-first dude. Ronnie Mauricio, we talked about him last week, and we're going to talk about him. I wonder how he did for Roman Candle, Will. You guys will have to stay tuned and find out. But he did. Started his career with a 5-game hitting streak. Pretty awesome. A 364 average. Hadn't got a homer yet, but has an RBI and 3 steals. And then Evan Carter. Evan Carter, who is going to be slotted to take Garcia's place. This is a outfield prospect that the Rangers are super excited about. Made his debut on the 8th, went 1 for 3 with a steal. Texas is real excited about this guy. Out of these 4, who gets you most excited?
Yeah, man, I'll say this. I love this time of the year when rosters expand and you start seeing these teams call up some of the top prospects because I love top prospects. I kind of follow some of those rankings as I can, and I think it's fun. But I will say this: I've watched the Yankees play this past week or so, and I know he's going to have some ups and downs. All young players are going to have ups and downs, but Jason Dominguez looks like he's going to have staying power.
Yeah.
He just looks. Some guys, when you watch them play these first few weeks and when they get called up, some guys just look the part. Other guys don't, and he looks the part.
Yep.
He looks like he belongs. His at-bats have been really, really good. He's obviously already hitting for pop. He's a switch hitter. He has speed. I think he said he stole over 40 bases in the minors, so we haven't even really seen that unleashed yet.
Mm-hmm.
I really like what I've seen out of him. I think he looks legit, and I'm excited.
3-hole for the Yankees.
I know, right? Right behind Judge.
Yep.
And so I'm excited about him, even though I'm not a Yankees fan by any means. I think he's going to be a good one. But I'm excited to see more of like Evan Carter for Texas, Jordan Lawler out in Arizona. I think all of those guys are going to really, really be cornerstone guys for those respective teams.
Yep.
And then we talked about last week Ronnie Mauricio for the Mets. I mean, he's electric too, man.
Yeah.
The Mets, if you're a Mets fan, you should be really, really excited about a guy like that.
Yep.
So, again, I love the young guys getting a shot this time of the year. And, I mean, hey, let's face it. This is the future of baseball. So, the future of baseball is in good hands. One that was not on our list that I'll mention really quick, Noelvi Marte for the Reds.
For no doubt.
I feel like he's gotten like lost in the shuffle of Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, Encarnacion Strand. Watch Noelvi Marte for the Reds. He looks like he's going to be a really, really good player. Might not be a superstar, but I think he's going to be a star for a long time for that team.
Yeah, pretty awesome, dude. Dude, the Reds. I mean, no wonder I didn't mention them. They got like 17 guys who just came up. And, dude, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome stuff. Not awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. Kind of awesome for us because it was something for us to talk about. Because, honestly, I only had 3 things on what's on the grill. And then I saw these comments last night. I was like, this is going on here. Did you see what
Yes.
George Kirby? Okay, so
I did.
let me do a little background for the people at home. George Kirby is a young starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. He was, throwing a pretty solid start against Will's Tampa Bay Rays and giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. He went out for the 7th inning, having thrown 90 pitches, gave up a game-tying 2-run homer. The Rays would later come back to take the lead and win the game 7-4. After the game, and I've never heard anything like this, so I got up in Will's ear. Kirby, the starting pitcher, came out and said, "Wish I wasn't out there for the 7th inning, to be honest. I was at 90 pitches, and I didn't really feel like I could go anymore, but it is what it is." If you're the manager, Scott Service, how are you handling this kid coming out to the media and saying this?
Man, I do not like it because, if I'm the manager, I mean, I think that kind of stuff needs to stay in-house regardless of who it is, number one. But I don't like it from this standpoint either. I mean, so obviously I was never a major league pitcher. I played travel ball, and then I started playing golf and played golf at the college level. So I'm not, by all means, am not a major league pitcher. Okay. However, I am a really competitive person and have played sports at a competitive level, at least a decently high level. I don't want to hear any professional athlete say that, let me put it this way. I want to hear my pitcher say, "Man, I want the ball.
Correct.
I'm not at 100 pitches yet. I let me get 3 more outs for you, coach." That's the attitude I want to hear. I don't want to hear, "Oh, I shouldn't have been out there," that kind of stuff. Like if you didn't need to be out there, you should have spoken up and said, "Look, hey, I don't got any gas left in the tank.
Correct.
Go grab somebody from the bullpen to help me out." But if that was not said, which I'm assuming it wasn't, because if that's said, a major league manager is going to take you out.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
young guy, late in the season, you're correct.
Yeah, this just sounds like sour grapes, and the fact that he gave up what ended up being the tying runs.
Yeah.
And I've got him on one of my fantasy teams, and I just don't like hearing that. And
Dude.
I really like George Kirby. I think he's already a great pitcher, and I think he's gonna be great. But man, I don't like what he said there at all.
Dude, I've been watching baseball for almost 20 years. I cannot think of a time that I've ever seen or heard anything like this. This is you hear the opposite, like you said. You hear guys who want to go out, or like I can think of like a Garrett Cole yelling at Boone on the mound because he wants to.
He's like, "Why are you taking me out?"
Correct.
That kind of thing.
This is one of the more odd things I've ever. Dude, and let me tell you something. Social media was ripping this kid apart. Jared Weaver, Roger Clemens, a lot of names. I started giggling because I'm like, I wonder what Madison Bumgarner's thoughts would be like in his prime.
Probably don't want to hear what he had to say.
Dude, you can't. Well, I couldn't repeat what Clemens or Weaver said either. But I've got to imagine, I can't. I'm flabbergasted. I really am. You think? I mean, this guy is like the future of your team. And if you're going forward, if your service, dude, you're heading towards the playoffs. What are you going to do? Like,
what are you going to do? Like, if he gets to 85 pitches, it's like, oh, George Kirby's reached his max. I better take him out. Like just like my thing is, and this is totally a topic for another day, but I'm just going to throw it out there.
Here we go.
Like, I personally, I understand it, but I don't love how it feels like we've gotten into, I'm just going to call it a habit of, as soon as a starting pitcher gets anywhere remotely close to 100 pitches, give or take, we just have to take them out.
Yeah.
I feel like that 100 pitches is extremely doable for a finely tuned athlete who this is what they've prepared all their life to do, and they're doing it at the highest level. Like, I just don't – I feel like some guys can literally pitch 110 to 120 pitches, and they would be totally fine.
For sure.
So I just don't love how we've almost gotten into the mindset of, oh, I've gotten to 95 pitches or I've gotten to 99 pitches. Take me out. I'm at my max. Like, that's all I got. So it's just – I just don't love that mindset, and I know that's where we're at now.
Correct.
But all that to say, I just think this looks bad on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, kind of coupled with how bullpens are used, and there's a lot of like one-inning guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it could have been worse, right, if they didn't change the rule back in the day. Oh, well, back in the day, a couple years ago, when they said, hey, you gotta either finish off an inning or pitch a full inning or face 3 batters, stuff like that.
Yep.
That's what make teams like the Rays so successful, their bullpen and their ability to do that and walk that line. But I'm with you, dude. It is weird. It's almost like in our heads, like after the 6th inning, after that quality start, it's like we got to take them out. We got to take them out. And that's just not how baseball has been for the majority of its existence. So it's interesting. And honestly, arm injuries are up. Probably tenfold. I'd have to, I have to look at the numbers, but I could confidently say that they're up over what they were.
I know that if you listen to, John Smoltz, who's, one of the lead analysts for Fox now, or is the lead analyst for Fox, and obviously he's a Hall of Fame pitcher, did it on the back end of a bullpen, and he was a starter back in the day for those Braves teams. He is a very, very strong opponent of the kind of hardline pitch counts. If you listen to him, talk about it, he is not a fan of kind of how they do it. So, and I think that's one of the great minds of the game now. And so I just, everything you were saying, everything that I've said, I just don't like kind of that mindset. But more importantly here, going back to the topic, George Kirby, I'll say it this way. I've got a little bit different viewpoint of him after he said this as opposed to a couple of days ago before he said it, because there's a lot to unpack there. And I just, as a competitive former athlete, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. Here's something I like. I like a lot new segments. Will pitched
Yeah.
this one to me, and I was like, this is golden. Okay, I really like this. Start 'em or bench 'em, the playoff edition. Okay, guys, playoffs start next week. All right, check your calendars. If you're in the playoffs, you probably already know that. If you don't know that, you probably haven't logged on to your app in like a month. And your lineups haven't been set, and you've been a walkover, easy win for your team. And, hey, we appreciate – I appreciate that player. Sometimes it's nice not to be stressed on my Saturday and Sunday. So here's what it is, okay? Playoffs are here. We're going to try and help you make big decisions as far as you got your big-name guys who maybe aren't playing well versus someone who's less rostered, who's really been crushing it. We're going to look at the last 14 days. And I have 4 different scenarios here, and I want Will's opinion. We're going to try and go fast because we are cruising. I mean, we are, time just flies. We're having fun here. Let's go. Christian Yelich, 96% rostered. Will had mentioned before we hit record, he's got a little bit of back issue. May have rode the pine today. So last 14 days, 7 for 45. That's a 163 average. They scored 9 runs, hit 1 home run for 3 RBIs. No steals. Or you could have a guy like Yuri Perez, 65% roster, 10 for 26. Not as many at-bats, there's no doubt. 385 average, 6 runs scored, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 9 stolen bases. So you get more counting stats there. Hey, we're setting up for 1 week, Will. How you feeling, dude? Which one you want?
Man, I tell you what, this is a tough one because I've really, really liked what I've seen this year out of Yelich for the most part. I feel like he was kind of returning somewhat back to MVP form, from a few years back. But I did see today to where the back is beginning to flare up again, and man, golly, that's. If you're a Yelich fan, a Brewers fan, if you've got him on your fantasy team, that is the last thing you want to see head into the fantasy playoffs, and more importantly, the Brewers heading into the playoffs, at least from what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
So, because he's got a history of back troubles over these past few years, and honestly, this is just my opinion. I think that's contributed a lot to some down years when we compare it to that MVP season a few years ago. So all that to say, if it is a back issue, I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
I would be highly considering finding some sort of replacement. Estuary Ruiz is very interesting, especially if you could use steals if you're in a category league. So, I would be thinking long and hard about that one.
How about this one, Will? Nick Castellanos, 94% roster. He's been 10 for 50, easy math, 200 average. 3 runs scored, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, no steals. Not getting any steals with that guy. 4, the 2021 playoff king himself, Eddie Rosario, 49% rostered. 12 for 38, a 316 average, 6 runs scored, 1 home run, 7 RBIs, and a steal. This guy's playing on a little bit better team. I don't know if that helps or hurts your decision. Who do you like more there?
So what's interesting is the Phillies and the Braves actually play each other next week. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a doubleheader on Monday. Depending on which way you go here, you're going to get a doubleheader on Monday, and you've essentially got Phillies versus Braves. So, this one's tough because if I've got a guy like Nick Castellanos, I'm going to try to take a little bit deeper dive. Some would call it the weeds, but I would say if you have Castellanos, how many lefties is he scheduled to face this coming up week? Because traditionally, he's really, really good against left-handed pitchers. So if he's scheduled to face several in the upcoming week, then I'm probably going to ride with it. Just thinking that kind of the back of the baseball card don't lie. I feel like I like my chances if he's got a bunch of lefties kind of scheduled against him. If not, if it is, obviously Spencer Strider's going to throw, so that's not ideal. But if it is majority right-handers against Castellanos, then I would probably ride with a guy like Rosario or somebody else very similar.
Yeah, or Ruiz. That's the thing.
Yeah.
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 I agree with you, dude. I agree with you. And for the most part, unless there's like an injury, I do kind of feel like you got to roll with the incumbent and the guy who's got you there. But, dude,
Yeah.
sometimes people are absolutely rolling. Let me give you one of those examples, Will. Nolan Arenado, 95% rostered. Man in the hot corner for your St. Louis Cardinals. 9 for 46 the last 2 weeks. That's 6 runs, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. That is not a solid average. I didn't write it down. Don't make me do math, Will. I'm not going to do it. Let's see here. Yohan Makata. I didn't have this in my book. He's 17% rostered, and he's been going off. 17 for 36. That's a 472 average. I know that's much better than the latter. 6 runs, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, no stolen bases. Ooh, maybe getting a little bit more interesting.
That is very interesting. But if a guy plays for the Chicago White Sox and his name is not Luis Robert, I don't trust him. Like even though he's been red hot the past couple of weeks, like I just know, this is just me talking, but I just know that as soon as I ride with him for a couple of days, he's going to go like 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and I'm going to be like, what am I doing? So
no one going off on the bench.
Yes. So this is just me. But in that scenario, I'm going to roll with the guy like Nolan Arenado. I'm going to it's just one of those things to where, kind of like what we talked about last week in last week's episode, if I was let's just say this was championship week. If I was in championship week in the fantasy playoffs and I decided to bench Nolan Arenado and ride with Yohan Moncada for a few days, and if Arenado went crazy for a couple of days, like I would be very upset at myself.
That's true.
For essentially, benching my guy who's been there, who's gotten me there, and going with a guy like Moncada who traditionally has been very questionable, very inconsistent. So that's just me. I can't fault anybody if you decide to go with a hot hand. I understand it. But for me,
pull it off. It's like a great fantasy move. It really is.
It is. But that's just one of those things to where I would be very, very upset with myself if I went against that. And I would just, if I'm going to go down in that scenario, I'm going to go down with Arenado.
I like that. Okay. Last examples. Of course, there's countless examples out there, guys. Elly De La Cruz, 93% rostered. 9 for 50 in his last 14 days, 180 or 180 batting average. What is going on? 7 runs, 0 home runs, 3 RBIs, 5 steals. So he's still helping you on the steals. I got your guy here. I saw you pick him up in one of our leagues here. Luis Rengifo, 49% roster, 20 for 46 the last 14 days. That's a 435 average or a 435 average. 7 runs, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a steal. Okay, Will. I'm not saying drop him.
Yeah.
But are you benching Elly?
Oh, man. Yeah. As painful as this one is for me, I mean, here's the thing. I love Elly De La Cruz. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar. I just think it's going to take him a little bit. I think that, I think we were all probably a little bit prisoner of the moment when he first got called up and he was so good right off the bat. We were like, oh my gosh, this guy is just different, And here's the thing, the talent is there. There is no question about that. But the issue is when you see a guy that strikes out as much as he does from both sides of the plate, it's just going to take some time. And so for me, answering this question, if I'm talking Elly De La Cruz or if I'm talking Rengifo for the Angels, what does the rest of your team look like? If you need a guy who's just going to be steady, if that's going to help you in most weeks as opposed to whatever else, then you need to go Rengifo. If you've got room to take a risk, and if you need maybe a little bit more power or need a little bit more steals, like as far as speed goes, then go with Elly De La Cruz because he definitely has
Right.
a better chance of those two things. But if you need slow and steady to win the race, then I'm going Rengifo for sure.
I like it, guys. Great luck with it, man. It's one of the most frustrating and like elating moments
Yeah.
in fantasy sports is when you're making these decisions. So, just try to remember, it's all for fun. Unless you
Yep.
put a lot of money on it, then good luck and make the right choice. And you got this. You got this. Okay, it's gonna be great.
Yep.
Here's what I don't have. A streak anymore in Roman Candle. That's right, everybody. You hear the fireworks. The pops at the end. That's actually Will's fist punching me in the face. Just a quick pop, 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 pop. That's how we recorded that because that's what this segment's turned into. He's up 11-4. I have been on a crispy two-week winning streak, and I mean for those 2 weeks I flew. Couldn't knock me down. I was flying with the eagle's nest. But, it all has to go back to normal in this world, and that's exactly what happened this week because Gunnar Henderson was on a different planet. 8 for 26, a 308 average, 3 doubles, 1 triple, 1 home run, 6 RBIs. He had the cycle this week, for Will.
He did.
That's very exciting. Over the week, not in one game, I don't think.
I knew picking 2 Orioles back-to-back week, they weren't going to let me down.
Dude, you're the biggest Baltimore fan I know.
I'm kind of a closet Orioles fan, I'm not going to lie.
Tell you love. Adley Rutschman.
Adley Rutschman.
Alec Manoa. Here we go. I went with Ronnie Mauricio, who we've talked about, and he's going to be great.
He is.
4 for 15 and 267 average. All singles. All singles after that double he had. I guess it was on last Saturday, or else it would have counted. And he had 1 RBI. So Will wins. LOL. That's what I put on the sheet. Who's surprised? 12-4. Will's up.
Quick question real quick.
Hit me, baby.
How high does Gunnar Henderson go in fantasy drafts beginning next year?
Dude, high. I think he'll go high, especially if, and this is going to sound weird, maybe it won't actually. Baltimore, if they do well, the better they do in the playoffs, the higher he'll go, because he's going to get all this primetime television. If they go to the World Series and or win, you're going to see a lot of. Dude, he's so good. He's so good.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Michael Harris.
Okay, I wasn't going to guess that, but that's not bad. That's not, dude. Yeah, that's such a good one. That's such a good one.
He had a left-handed bat.
Yep.
A lot of people question could he hit lefties. He's starting to prove that.
Yeah.
He's on a really good team now.
Yeah.
He actually hits higher in the lineup than Michael Harris because for some reason the Braves really won't move him up.
No,
so I think Gunnar Henderson, I think Adley Rutschman's the franchise. We've talked about that. But I think Gunnar Henderson outside of Adley Rutschman is going to be the other cornerstone franchise player moving forward for Baltimore. I think he's that good.
Yeah, and then you got, Jackson Holiday, who's getting denied at hotel rooms. We definitely don't have time for this, but do you hear about that?
I did not.
He had issues getting into a hotel room with the AAA team, I guess, because he looks so young. I'm
wow.
Is the team not ironing this out? I've never heard of this either.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, people probably haven't heard of him, unless you're a big baseball fan.
Right.
So I understand, not
That's
having.
funny. But yeah, he's the next coming of their third franchise player.
Yeah, I wonder if Manny Machado ever looks back like,
I know, right?
Could have, they had some years. Chris Davis before he, forgot how to hit, and he's the highest paid Oriole. He's the highest paid Oriole on their payroll. I saw that this week.
But I think Gunnar Henderson, I think he's going to be like a 3rd, 4th round pick next year, and he honestly might be a bargain there.
Dude, I know. Yeah, and the Harris thing checks out there too because he went like 25. Remember?
Yep.
Dude, it's gonna be so much fun. I saw something on Twitter, and we're just all the way off the rails here because we got to get to our Week 23 picks and then out of here to watch the rest of this Texas-Alabama game, guys.
Yep.
But let me tell you something. What the heck was I gonna say? Will, I literally was gonna say, let me tell you something. Nope, it's gone. Let's move on. Week 23. We went with a couple of stud third basemen, and I want to hear your pick, Will.
Yeah, so as much as it pains me to pick an Astro, And I know that you and your family are all about the Astros, and I respect it. I really don't like the Astros, so I feel like we balance each other out really well because of that.
That's right.
But I am going to land in Houston this week with my pick. I'm going to go with Alex Bregman. He is quietly putting together one heck of a second half. Mm-hmm. He got off to a really slow start this year. And, man, has he been good the past couple of months. And you know what? If this Alex Bregman continues forward, Houston's going to be hard to handle like they typically are in the postseason, at least over these past few years. So I'm going to pick Alex Bregman this week for my pick. Yep. They've now, as we've talked about, they've got a lead in the AL West just over Seattle. So they need to keep the pedal to the metal to make sure that they can hold off Seattle. I'm not too worried about Texas at this point. But Houston-Seattle is going to be a heck of a race these next few weeks.
It's going to be fun, dude. Yeah, Bregman, 4 for 4 the other night.
He looks good.
He got out of the blocks really, really slow this year. And when you look at the counting stats, they have all landed where you'd think they would. 22 home runs, 92 RBIs. I mean, that's awesome. So that's a side effect of playing for the Astros. I got the forgotten third baseman. There was like a pack of like 5. Okay, you got to go out early. You got to get one of these guys. And this is Rafi Devers. Rafael Devers, the $333 million man from my Boston Red Sox. Again, he's also had a pretty tough year. I mean, compared to where he landed last year. But he's turned it around. He's got 29 home runs, so he's going to hit 30. And then 91 RBIs, might touch 100. That'd be cool, a 30-100 season. So let's see, 78 runs, 3 stolen bases, 267 average. So that's down compared to where it typically is. Let's see him do it, man. I've stayed away from Red Sox because, quite frankly, they just have not been playing too well. But dude, let's just make this I don't want to lose by 10, okay? I don't know if anybody's ever golfed out there and, it's like a par 4 and they're hitting like 7. They're like, okay, I need to get up and down for a 9. Let's just not get a 10. That's what I feel like right now. Will doesn't know what I'm talking about because he just pures everything. So it must be nice to be him. Okay. Will, anything, man? That's 47 in the books, brother. How we feeling?
Yeah, man. 47 was fun. We had to unpack a lot of different things. Some things not so easy to talk about, unfortunately, but others. It was a fun episode for the most part. So I just want to say good luck to everybody out there. If you play fantasy sports and you're fortunate enough to make the playoffs, good luck these next week or two as you dive into the playoffs. If you have any questions for us, let us know. But yeah, good luck. Have fun with it. That's the main thing. Remember, if you make it to the playoffs, look at it as a reward. You've obviously had a really good team. You drafted a good team. You developed by getting guys off the wire, making trades all year to make that top however so many in your league. So congrats for making the playoffs if you did. And like I said, try to enjoy these next few weeks.
It's going to be great. Couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, reach out to us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at BTH_Cody and at Will Sism. Check us out on YouTube if you want to see me almost sneeze. That happened about 20 minutes ago, but we didn't do it. And Will, I never thought of what I was going to say about the Orioles. It ain't there, buddy. Hey, you know what is it's going to be a lot of fun. Great luck to everybody, like Will said. We really appreciate you. But until next time, thanks for listening to episode 47 of Bringing the Heat.